Hello and welcome to another episode of Weekly Waypoint. Today you are looking at Enshrouded, and we will be talking more about this game a little bit later. But first, I have played so many games this week, I have so much to talk about. Which is a little weird because I haven't exactly had any more free time than normal. I've just divided my attention up between more games than usual. We'll get the least interesting ones out of the way first. I am still playing old school RuneScape. I'm still poking my head into RuneScape 3 every now and again as I'm doing that. And I'm still playing Fortnite alongside Reese and Molly. I just got level 153 in the Battle Pass, which means I get the coolest skin in the damn thing. That pass finishes up on March 8th, so I was pretty worried that I wouldn't be able to get that, but I did. I've also been poking my head through the door into ESO because they are doing a 10th, I believe it's a 10th anniversary celebration event. I haven't reinstalled the game, I've just been popping it open with Xbox Cloud Saves because they've got some really good daily rewards right now in terms of like they're actually giving away crown crates, which they never do, and they're giving away the entire Orsinium DLC if you log in for 2 days in March, so get on that. And also they have some really cool rewards coming up for people who have already completed a bunch of achievements within the Orsinium DLC, which I have done. I also continued playing through Dragon Quest VII, where I almost gave up on the game for a little while. I told Reese I'm probably going to take a break from this game now, because I died to a boss and then I had to do an entire painfully long dungeon all over again. But I got through it, and I continued playing, and I've just got to another point where I'm stuck, and there's no easy area to resurrect the party members in, so I have to traipse all the way back to somewhere else, so once again, I'm a little bit grumpy with the game. That being said, I'm also really enjoying how Dragon Quest VII handles, you know, like, it's pretty standard, right? You're saving the world. Like, no spoilers, obviously it's an RPG, it's a Dragon Quest game, you're saving the world, and in most games where you're saving the world, it just kind of feels like the thing you're doing. But in Dragon Quest VII, they do such a good job of showing you the before you solve the problem and the after you solve the problem. It's like a series of short stories, the way that game is structured, and making you feel like you are making a legitimate impact on the world. It's the best saving the world I've ever seen in a video game, I feel like. Or one of the best, I guess. I've saved a lot of worlds, I need to think about that. And then last week I talked about how I picked up Dragon Quest Builders 1 on PC. I have continued to play through that game. If you're watching me play Enshrouded and you're like, oh no, he's abandoned it. No, last night I finished chapter 1 of that game, and I believe there are 4 chapters. I might be wrong, because normally there's 3 in like a normal Dragon Quest game, but I'm pretty sure there's 4 here. And yeah, the fantasy that game provides of like restoring a city and restoring a civilization and like gaining followers or friends or whatever and like building them up houses and fulfilling their requests and, you know, making the world right again. You know, similarly to Dragon Quest VII, you're saving the world, I guess, in a different way though. It's really, really fun and fulfilling. But what I want to talk about in terms of Dragon Quest Builders real quick is they also have this, it used to be DLC in the Switch version of the game, I believe, this thing called the Terra Firma thing, which is basically a creative mode, except it's a bit different to what you might expect from a creative mode. You don't just start with like infinite materials, to the best of my knowledge, and you know, flying and all that kind of thing. There's still some gameplay to it, but obviously you have many perks. I believe you unlock the ability to spawn like all the monster parts you need. I believe you do get like an ability to fly later on or whatever, but you get a nice big chunk of land to build on. Well, I say big, you know, big in comparison to Dragon Quest Builder terms. You get random NPCs show up who you can have, I guess, like move in. I don't know if they have any dialogue. So far all I've had is a Draki show up, because you can get monsters show up too. Obviously the Draki doesn't say anything. But the weird part to me is the sharing feature, because it's vaguely multiplayer in that kind of a way. They give you a fairly small grid within which you can build stuff, and then you can save that stuff and you can put it on the internet and see other people's stuff. So I went to one of the squares where you can load up other people's stuff. I don't know why I'm saying stuff like that. I'll stop that bit now. And I was expecting it to open up like, you know, a content browser or something. It opened up File Explorer. And it turns out the way you share your creations is you save them as like a little PNG QR code file. And you go on the internet and you find other people's little PNG QR code files. I went, oh, that's a little bit weird, but I guess I'll go have a look and find other people's files. It's a little bit like the Able sisters in Animal Crossing, if you've interfaced with that at all. I did some digging, and then I did some more digging, and then I did a lot of digging, and all I could find on the entire internet was two creations shared, one by the Dragon Quest team themselves, and the other a response to that in the replies. People do not use this feature, and I get it, it's an older game, and this is a PC port of an older game, by the way, but like it does share functionality of this feature with older versions of the game. But obviously it's a very limited building space, and it's Dragon Quest Builders 2 has been out for a long time, which does multiplayer building a lot better. But I thought I would find somewhere, some repository of back when Dragon Quest Builders 1 was the only one out there. I thought I would find some repository of people sharing their buildings, but no, all I can find is people, you know, doing their own buildings in the world and taking screenshots and sharing that. There's plenty of that. So there are a lot of people sharing their builds within Dragon Quest Builders 1, but not sharing their builds within Dragon Quest Builders 1. And it's honestly a shame. I find it so sad because the two designs I did kind of, it feels weird saying download when all it is like a QR code, but the two designs I did import into my save, it was cool to just be like, oh, you know, other people built these. This is the kind of thing I've wanted in Minecraft since the game's very inception. And also, that I should mention also, the game doesn't handle it very well. It lags a bit when there's too many blocks in and around a place and being decorative and stuff. That's probably another reason people don't use it. But I once played a mobile game which was basically Minecraft before Minecraft was on mobile, and it had this similar thing of like, you know, you share a code or a QR image or whatever it was, and then you can import other people's creations into your game, and it has this weird vibe of like, oh, someone made this, but they're not here with me showing it to me, you know? Like, I'm just exploring these quiet other people's creations. I can't really put it into words, but it's a vibe I actually quite enjoy. It's fun just to like see what other people have been up to and what other people have been making. You could argue you can do this by like going on Planet Minecraft and downloading people's Minecraft worlds, but I don't know, it's not the same as importing a creation into your world. And I just think it's a shame that this feature didn't get much use, and it's also surprising that it's got this little use. Like, I'm still astonished that I only found two things on the entire internet. I say the entire internet as if I've trolled it, but I've looked at, you know, the Reddit subreddits for this game. I've searched phrases on Twitter regarding this game. I've checked Twitter threads for Dragon Quest posts about this game. I've looked up forums for this game. There's nothing. But anyway, I am going to start Chapter 2 of Dragon Quest Builders. I don't know if I'm going to take a break from it while I play Enshrouded. They are two quite different games though, so I might just, you know, full steam ahead on that. And yes, I will now talk about Enshrouded, which I have a whopping 2 hours in, so keep that in mind while I talk about this game. But you have no doubt seen me on the screen running around fighting monsters or bandits or whatever, checking out this ruined village. And once again, I want to stress, this is a tiny area on the map. There's probably tons of these villages around. But yes, Enshrouded has been on my radar for a little while, and I decided yesterday, actually, you know what, I'm going to pick it up. I'm just going to do it, because I have a history with survival crafting games. Minecraft came out and it was amazing. Terraria came out and it was amazing. Starbound came out and it was amazing. And then I tried a whole, and probably in between this as well, I tried a whole slew of early access survival crafting games. You may remember that was an era where that was like gaming's most prominent genre. And I very quickly got burned out on them because a large part of me thinks that the survival crafting genre just isn't for me. Like, the way my brain is structured, maybe it's something to do with ADHD, I always forget what I need to craft. I always get frustrated running out of resources and forgetting what I was going out there to get. It's like opening the fridge, forgetting what you came there for, but like multiple times per play session when you go back to your base or whatever. I've also theorized that I might be bad at these games multiplayer for a similar reason. Like, I find it hard to focus on actual progression when I'm playing with my friends, despite the fact that I love playing with my friends and will continue to do so. Reese, if you are watching this, we gotta play some more Valheim together. I don't care if I'm bad at progression. Enshrouded has kind of made me want to play more Valheim, if I'm honest. But yeah, I just got to a point where I was like, if it's an early access open world survival crafting game, I'm just going to ignore it. But Enshrouded kept popping up, and I feel like if Palworld didn't exist, this game would probably have the notoriety that Palworld has at this point. If maybe not the amount of notoriety, but like it would probably be like the game that was in the collective gaming consciousness around the time that Palworld was. Because this game is huge, and what I want to stress the most about this game, what really attracts me to Enshrouded, is what it does that most other open world surviving crafting MMOs doesn't, is it leans into the kind of action RPG a little bit. You've already seen it. The combat is, I hesitate to say Souls-like or Souls-light, because Dark Souls fans are very passionate about their game, but it's got that kind of purpose to it that Souls games have, which I really appreciate, actually. The level at which it's seen in this game, because I don't like the Dark Souls games. For context, I find them overly punishing and I don't find that fun, but I think this game has the perfect balance of, it's difficult if you're not paying attention. You need to pay attention in combat. It's not just a hack and slash, but at the same time it's not extremely difficult or punishing. Dark Souls actually isn't extremely difficult or punishing if you yeah, okay, whatever. Dark Souls is not the main game, but I'm comparing this game to, because I like to see games as like, obviously this game's genre is open world survival crafting, but I feel like sometimes games are a splice of a few different genres. Like Palworld is open world survival crafting plus Pokemon, right? Obviously. But I think this is open world survival crafting plus Skyrim, which you might be like, this is third person and the combat's different, sure. But the way this game handles exploration and environmental storytelling and the scale of a world and the feel of delving into these areas and finding loot and upgrading your gear is so Skyrim to me, in a way that I've kind of been looking for since Skyrim. It's similar to how I've heard people describe Valheim as being like World of Warcraft vanilla, playing that for the first time. Obviously it's not. It's a completely different genre of game. There are so many differences to it, but I get what they mean in terms of like, there are these zones and you're working your way through these zones and you're exploring the world in the way that you explored World of Warcraft the first time, like, it's like this other game, even though on the surface it's not. And it also helps that Enshrouded is gorgeous. You wouldn't think that it was voxel based just by looking at it, but it is, and the building system is really good because of that as well. It is really easy to make realistic looking like medieval huts and stuff, which is obviously a problem I have in Minecraft, where it's like completely block based and you have to use your own imagination and your own skills to really make anything look good. But in this game it's just, it's divine. And, maybe Enshrouded won't look or feel as special to people who have been playing the open world survival crafting genre, all the way through from Minecraft to here. Because, I'm not saying Minecraft invented it, but that's the earliest one I know of. Because I'm sure this game does a lot of things that a lot of games in between do that I just haven't experienced because I haven't played those games. I feel like people who have played a lot of Valheim are probably pointing at this game and going, oh look, it does the Valheim thing. But I don't know, man. I didn't get into Valheim, but I've gotten into this. I mean, again, I'm only 2 hours in. Who knows, this time next week I might have fallen off of it spectacularly. But right now, I've got this massive expansive world stretching out before me, and I hope this video captures at least a little bit of that. I've got that feeling that you get at the beginning of a game that you're about to sink a lot of time into, where you're like, oh, I'm about to sink a lot of time into this game, and there is so much of it before me, and I'm about to have such a good time. You know that kind of feeling where you don't really know it until you feel it, where you're like, am I feeling this way? If you're questioning if you're feeling that way, then you know you're not. But you're feeling it when you are. I'm just rambling at this point. And I doubt I'll play through the game start to finish. I don't do that with games. Sometimes I wish I did, but I don't. My brain doesn't work that way. But I love knowing that I just have this adventure to boot up whenever I feel like it, this world to go and explore whenever I feel like it. And, I've seen some reviews of this game, I've seen some footage of this game, I do have an idea of how expansive it is. This isn't just, you're at the start of an open world RPG and you feel like the world is 8 times bigger than it actually is because of a sensation of grandeur that it gives you. No, I feel like I've got a pretty decent idea of the actual size of the world. The way this world handles scale as well reminds me a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles, like the massive vistas in the distance that you can go to. Obviously that's a bit of a different game, but still, I feel tiny, I feel so small, and there's so much to explore. And I know this hasn't been like a full review of the game, by the way, this has just been first impressions. I haven't even touched on like the enshrouded mechanic, which is where certain areas are like enshrouded and you can only exist in those areas for a specific amount of time, and you have to go in there and like destroy this boss and this object in there to clear it out, basically. And that feels kind of Ubisoft mappy in a good way. It's funny as well, because I was just considering, like, I've always hated timer mechanics in games. I've always been like, oh god, even if it gives me plenty of time, oh god, what if I don't get it done in time? I'm not like that in this game, at least not so far. And I don't know if that's down to something the game is doing or down to something I'm doing as a person. But hey, there's that. But I'll probably be talking more about this game as the weeks go on. Or, once again, I'll stop talking about it next week and you'll be like, oh, he fell off of that one and he's back off of the survival crafting genre. But yeah, I think Dragon Quest Builders might have been something of a gateway drug for getting me to reconsider this genre. I think I'm going to end it off there. Thank you very much for watching this video. Let me know if you've played Enshrouded or if you intend to now. And leave a like if you liked the video. I always forget to say that. And I will see you in whatever I make next.